calls are routine, to piles of rubbish that no one clears away, to stolen cars stripped of tyres, batteries, seats and what, then set alight for fun. In the South Bronx, services are beginning to collapse. The sanitation department can't cope, neither can the police, and the fire department is stretched to breaking point. On bad days, the men of Engine 82 and Ladder 31 seem to be the last barricade before the final collapse of the Bronx.
I can remember it, and all the fellows here on Simpson Street, which is one of the biggest at one time. It's lesser now because the buildings are gone, they've been burned out. It was one of the biggest areas in New York City for prostitution. And here, you know, Phil pulls up, takes a hydrant, flames are coming out the windows, and Wooly and everybody else is stretching the hose. And while this is going on, you know, and I'm looking, you know, what's my next move? What am I going to tell the chief? What situation is that? Here's a hooker coming down the street with a bad buddy up, goes into a vacant building. You know, she's going to go to work on him and get $2 to take a shot.
They even ask us.
That's right, right?
So, hey, fine.
And then, you know, then 2 hours later we roll out again and we go over to Fox Street, and we're putting out a rubbish fire at 6 in the morning. This is after being out, you know, 30 times a night. And there's some guy with a knife out, and he's going to cut, you know, and you know, we're doing our job, and here this is all going around like we weren't even there. Here's the fireman putting out this rubbish fire, and here's a guy with a knife, you know. Right. He's going to cut this on the front.
Right.
You know. We roll over to, you know, I guess all this excitement captures us, you know, and that's why we stay here. You know, we're dedicated, we like to help, but it's also, for me, this bit of excitement. I mean, you know, everything immeasurable is going on right here in the South Bronx. And, you know, it kind of keeps me going.
Years ago, these men would have been found on the wild frontier, driving wagon trains across the deserts to California and fighting Indians. Today it's still very like the Wild West, but with hours of tedium and routine, as well as the same drama and excitement. That same challenge of the unknown is found in the South Bronx, where sometimes the natives are very far from friendly.
Well, this morning on our way into work, we had a report that the police had located a carcass on in a street on 172nd and Bryant. It turned out to be a stripped carcass of a gorilla. It was headless, and the fur was removed, the skin was removed. South Bronx.
8231, Battalion 27, go!
Surprisingly, a waiting list for places in Battalion 27. Charlie Ferrand even gave up the safer world of book illustrating to prove something to himself working here.
You have to prove yourself. Oh yeah, you have to prove yourself, I think, to your fellow workers, and that's done through time. You know, for taking the beating, you know, taking the knob, as we call, and not being, like you say, afraid. I mean, you are. You know, you don't try to show it, and you just go off and you do your job, and by doing that, you prove it to your fellow workers.
For those who feel the need to prove themselves, opportunities are continuous. Yet men rarely leave Engine 82 and tend to be quietly pitying of their colleagues in the slower houses of smart Manhattan or respectable suburbia.
No, I went to the boulevard to see if she was there, the medical center. They announced some of the things she isn't there.
But you can watch the apartment there before.
Yeah, I'll keep an eye on it. I'll never have to see it. My kids are sleeping. I'm scared.
It's all over with.
Is only one of the dangers faced by the firemen of the South Bronx. They're often stoned, sometimes have dustbins and rubbish dropped on them from roofs, have even been stopped from reaching fires by snipers. Their arrival must sometimes seem a mixed blessing. They can appear unnecessarily destructive.
They call us the house wreckers. Not all of them, but some of them do. And we do look like we're going in there to wreck the place. But to take out the windows, that's how we get our fresh air. And that's how the people breathe that are trapped in there. If you don't take out the windows, then nobody's going to get any fresh air. So naturally, it looks like we're there to tear the building down, and which we're trying to do is give anybody that has a chance a breath of fresh air. It does look bad, but they don't understand the job. That's the whole thing.
Do you ever get into ugly situations because people don't understand what's going on?
Oh, plenty of times, yes. We've had to have a few people arrested for trying to stop us from doing our job, and we've had to forcibly eject them from the building.
Damped down not only fires but tempers once they saved a man whose car had been destroyed and whose life was threatened because he'd killed a dog. It was almost as routine as fighting a fire.
In this particular area, we have stabbings, shootings, war leaks, everything. Overdoses, births,
And family arguments.
But the thing is, the men are trained. In other words, they pull a box, we roll in. If it's a stabbing, we're going to stop the bleeding. If it's a baby that's not breathing, we're going to, we'll put the resuscitator on her, mouth to mouth. We'll bring her back. If it's a young lady with a giving birth, we can do that. We can do anything.
But why does the fire department get called out for that?
For some strange reason, these people think that, I believe anyway, that most people think that in this area anyhow, that the fire department is their salvation, that they call the fire department as a last resort. They've tried the police department, the housing authority, anybody else, but the most times we'll respond. We'll come for anything. Water leaks, which is on a rare occasion, which happens like, say, 3 o'clock in the morning, right, Chief? Right. These 3 o'clock in the morning, more or less?
Yeah, well, we get there promptly. That's the reason why they
know that we're going to respond.
We get there right away.
They know that when they pull a box or call the dispatcher on a telephone, that regardless of the time of the day or the night, they know they're going to get help. They may not get much sympathy, but they're going to get help.
Today, Battalion 27 covers an area just 1 mile square, and it's chronically overworked. Out of the 30 or so responses Engine 82 makes daily, perhaps only 2 or 3 will be to fires. How many fires like this could a man take in a night?
I would think one would be enough if he was inside like that first team was, 46 engine.
So, in fact,
out of action for the rest of the night, one complete crew?
Well, I presume that we will lose one or two, and I think we'll lose them all. But the two men who were up on the top of the stairs when we started operating from outside did take quite a bit of smoke, and possibly will be off for the balance of the tour, if not on sick leave.
Behind what they call the big house is a small yard, the men's recreation space, where, in the usually brief intervals between calls, the firemen vent excess energy with games of handball and complicated games of basketball with only one basket. They have no canteen, no chef, no staff, no official meal breaks even. The New York Fire Department expects its employees to fend for themselves, unsubsidized. Those who can, cook. Those who can't, eat. They eat well, cheaply, fast, and mostly in silence.
Dig in. 8231, battalion 27, go! How many first breeds you got? Unbelievable.
In one 3.5-month spell, they didn't finish one single meal without being called out, and most of the calls were false alarms, many to one particular box.
This is box 2785 at the corner of Petona Park Avenue East and Charlotte Street. All you have to do to operate one of these alarm boxes is to lift this flap, which has been so used here it's been broken off, and pull this. And a matter of a couple of minutes later, the men of Battalion 27 will be here on the scene. On a really bad night, this alarm box gets called somewhere between 12 and 15 times, every single one of them false alarms. Sometimes the children will light a fire over in the park here, and that makes it legal, but very often they don't bother. And if they do get caught, nothing effective is ever done to deter them.
In New York, false alarms have become a chronic problem. In London, where there are no boxes, only one call in 8 is a malicious false alarm. In the South Bronx, every other call is.
That was a false alarm, what we call an MFA, a malicious false alarm. As you saw, we look around, we look for signs of smoke or excitement, and we walk a slight distance, and then we walk back. It becomes more a ritual than anything else. We walk half a block this way and half a block that way. We do it not expecting to find anything because we've become so used to false alarms.
What happens if you actually catch somebody making a false alarm?
I don't know. I've never seen it happen. I've been to false alarms.
Why do you think round this area there are so many false alarms called?
The kids that pull a fire alarm. They get high, pull a fire alarm, do a lot of stupid things.
But why do they do it?
Be messing
around and have fun. But you know, that's not right to be doing that, you know, because you know the firemen could be having a bigger fire, you know, when it's a false alarm. So now they try to, you know, tell them to stop pulling the fire alarms.
Have you ever pulled a false alarm?
No, not me.
What? Never pull a false alarm?
No. You don't pull a false alarm?
Yep.
You pulled a false alarm. What
Got caught too.
What happened to you?
Took me to court.
And what happened?
They asked me why did I pull it? Told them I was high.
Did they punish you?
Did they give you a JD card, Mike?
Yep.
They mostly give you a JD card when you pull a false alarm.
That's a juvenile delinquent card.
Yeah.
But they didn't fine you or send you to prison or punish you in any
They
way?
don't do that.
They
what?
gave me a JD card. How they gonna send them to prison?
They really don't send you to prison for doing nothing little like that. You know, they wait till you do something big, you know, like breaking somebody's house or something like that.
Even though on a bad night the firemen spend more time resetting alarm boxes than fighting fires, every call Battalion 27 answers may be to a serious fire involving rescues and danger. That a fire might kill is a professional hazard philosophically born, but a false alarm killed one man in Charlie MacArthur's battalion.
A good friend of mine, Mike Carrs, his plank over there, he fell off the rig. I was driving this apparatus here behind him, and I saw him go off. He landed on his head. He died about an hour later of head injuries, and it was a false alarm. He was a 13-year-old boy, which they found out later, and it was a dare. One kid dared the other kid, which is normally the case anyway. Mike died for no reason.
What happened to the boy who did pull the alarm?
Well, actually, nothing happened to him. They counted it off as malicious mischief of an underage boy, and he just got a JD card, which is juvenile delinquent. Really didn't get anything. Nothing happened to him at all, really.
You get extra money for this, Bill.
I respond to each alarm as a new thing, because I know that when I get there, I will have either a false alarm or somebody that needs my assistance one way or the other. Sometimes 3 o'clock in the morning, someone would come over to one of my other brothers and tell them, mira, el fuego está en otro sitio. They don't understand this. I do, you know? So I'm like an interpreter, fireman.
What language are you speaking now?
I'm speaking Spanish. The kid does come from Puerto Rico. I was born in Puerto Rico, and I understand the language in this particular area that I work in. And when I get there, I'm more, what do you call it, my chief. By the way,
he's required.
Get Vargas down here.
Anybody
I'm not an interpreter, I'm a fireman.
In the South Bronx, it's impossible to buy fire insurance. For every apartment wrecked by fire, there are 4 or 5 damaged by smoke or water. It only takes 1 or 2 fires to make an entire tenement uninhabitable. Only a year ago, the city of New York spent thousands of dollars doing up this tenement. Now, several fires later, it's abandoned and derelict. A playground for drug addicts and fire raisers, a recurring hazard for the firemen. The problems of the South Bronx aren't peculiar. They could be those of any ghetto in any country where despair replaces hope and the overstretched forces of authority begin to collapse. The strongest sense of vocation is eroded by the futility of fighting fires that shouldn't happen in buildings that many feel shouldn't be left standing, and by injuries, sometimes even death, caused so pointlessly.
Evidently, the first one just wasn't breathing. I mean, how do you know until it's diagnosed?
Wasn't breathing?
Difficulty breathing, right? So it could have been a problem with his respiration, problem with his heart, just could have been overcome by smoke. Could have had a severe inhalation of superheated gases. Who knows? See, they're the first 2 company, and I told you before, we were at this fire, we were the 4th engine company to arrive here. Yeah. So the fire, although very smoky, was mild for us, because we were just catching the extension of it. Yeah. But these guys were out right in the middle of it at the very beginning, you see. So they, you know, that's consequences of fighting a fire. That's what happens.
We often talk
about it amongst ourselves that the one organization that you cannot do without is the fire department. You've seen yourselves here, 1 hour. I'd say just give us 1 hour and no responsive fire apparatus in the South Bronx, and I wonder what would happen. I would dread to see what would happen. You could do without the police because you can bring a military unit in to control traffic and things of that nature, but you cannot do without the fire department, and you cannot bring the volunteer companies in from outside the city because there aren't enough of them. Right. There aren't enough of them in the around the metropolitan area to do the job for us.
Hot as a black smoke. I crawled in. I thought it was seat covers, and it was like a bunch of seat covers in the hallway in the apartment. A whole bunch of seat covers. You know, that's what it felt like foam rubber. I'm saying, what the hell is this? And the next thing you know, somebody on the outside vent on the fire escape broke the windows, and I'm feeling on the floor there. It turned out it was a whole family right there. A whole family, 2 adults and 3 kids right there. I couldn't believe it.
Okay, Denny, it's clear in here. How's it? I had the baby in my arms under a sheet. The thing that came to my mind was, what do I do? Just leave this child here and walk away? Or do I even just, she was gone. She was stiff, she was burnt. I just tried to do CPR on her, just while the parents were there, just so that the mother and father, or the mother especially, would just at least thought that someone tried to help their child before it died.
Let's go, everybody back.
You try and comfort them as much as you can, and they're screaming, and the family's around screaming, and it's a horror story. These are the ones that you tend to remember. If they're dead, you know, it's kind of sounds a little gruesome, but they're dead, they're dead. But the ones that are still alive that you can't help anymore, that you tried your damnedest, but you can't help them anymore, that takes a piece out of you.
He was always a lifesaver. All firemen are lifesavers. That's what firemen are paid to do.
Okay, very good. It's a good feeling to know that you save people. And firemen always prided themselves on, no matter who they were or what they were all treated the same. They were all treated the same.
They treat them all the same, with skill, with daring, and with care. These are the men of a New York City Fire Department rescue company. Extraordinary men. Men who must face the ultimate challenge every day at their work. They are a part of a group of faceless, nameless heroes. Real people we seldom read about in the newspapers, or for that matter, see on the 6 o'clock report. I'm Chris Borgen. With this broadcast, Channel 2 begins a 3-part series, a look behind the headlines. A tribute to those who every day lay their hearts and sometimes their lives on the line for their fellow New Yorkers. Tonight, the Big Blue of Rescue 3. There are 11,000 firefighters, some 363 fire companies in New York City, but only 5 rescue companies, all staffed with hand-picked men who must work under the most grueling of conditions. Last year, for instance, Rescue 3 responded to 1,500 1075s. Those are alarms where lives are in danger. What is it like to race into a blazing building, to rescue a person, perhaps even lose the life of a fellow firefighter? These are questions these men must face each and every day. The lifesavers.
when the superheated air hits your face, when your eyes start running so fast that you can't see, and the snot's come out of your nose, and you become completely disoriented, and it's like the fire is a animate object after you personally.
2-6 to Division 6. The fire has not extended to the trench. There's fire through the roof.
The original concept of the establishment of the rescue companies was to rescue trapped firemen down in the old Hell's 100 Acres downtown. And that was the concept. When the civilian needs help, he calls the fireman. When the fireman needs the help, he calls the rescue company.
Fire's on the first floor. That is the difference between a rescue company and a regular engine and truck. And a rescue company has 5 experienced firemen.
And our mission, number 1, is primarily to help the firemen, and number 2, civilians. But as it goes, go across the board. Whatever goes down, we'll handle it.
Mr. Smoke was the almighty humbler.
Back off, kid. Come on, back out. We're gonna go in.
Takes away all your
They got water on.
takes away all your natural senses of survival. It takes away your sight, your smell, your inability to breathe. It compounds every other problem that you have at a fire 1,000 times over.
Fear is panic. Panic is no good. You can't indulge in fear. If you're going to be fearful, if you're going to panic, you're going to be in big trouble.
10-4, lot of 5-6. Will you get me the apartment number, please, on the floor above
You have to order a couple of firemen into a flat above a fire to make a search, not knowing how badly burned out the apartment is underneath, whether the floor is safe and whatnot, and to have to order men in to do this job, go in with them, is difficult.
Here, get that door up here. We're gonna have to cut the roof.
You know the fire's below you. Whether you're on a roof and it's a top floor job, you know you got the fire below you, or you're on the floor above, the fire's right below you. You can see the fire's going to go up. It's going to burn through.
Fear is something you have to learn to overcome before you, and not allow it to cloud your judgment. If someone's injured or someone falls through a roof,